So I'm going to talk about the scam that's going on with mental health. Um, I've been the victim of this. So yes, back November 30th, 2007, I was mugged and robbed on my way home from work. That's correct. But I was recovering fine. And that's what I kept telling people. But I was recovering fine. The only issues was physical health issues. There was no PTSD. There was no anxiety. There was no avoidance issues. There was no anxiousness, hypervigilance, nothing. The all that was going on. You can see this to the left side of my face. Okay, here's the right side. Here's the left side. Now, probably not the best camera. You can see that's a scar there. All right. So I was hit really hard. It caused damage to my eye and my face. I suffered bad from chronic migraines from that, plus the hit to the back of the head here. Chronic migraines, and it caused disc problems here in my right side, my hip. My L5 is absolutely killing me. It causes mobility problems. So the issues were, and here's what I've kept saying, but no one listened to me. No one through workers' comp has listened to me. None of my medical team, nobody. And I want to know why. I've been saying this now. So if it comes back to me, if a magistrate says, well, Justin, why didn't you say anything? It's like, have you not listened in the last 9 years? I found out in 2015 there was wrong information said about me, and I've worked my hardest to get that information removed, and it hasn't been removed. Not in the police force, not in the medical health industry, not in the mental health industry, not in the legal industry. Hasn't been removed. Because the only issues that I sustained was the damage to my back. Okay, the damage to my shoulder, like where I was hit to the back of the head here. I had my work bag on me that was taken from me. That was a little bit of a laceration or whatever here in my back. The damage to my eye, you can see the scar there. They did cause some sight problems. I've got chronic migraines, the damage to my back and my hip, my damage to my knee and my foot. So it's a mobility problem, chronic fatigue and damage to the eye. There's no mental health surrounding it at all. So I was meant to rest, recover, maintain these injuries, or work, or recover or maintain. So I was working towards maintaining them. To return to work at Stark Casino as a VIP host, which is fine. Now I was able to do that back in 2015. As soon as I went to go and do that, I had Giovanni Craig-Consalvo, my ex-partner, who never knew me when I was mugged. I met him in August 2008, didn't start affiliating with him until September 2008. He saw a niche to get in and start scamming, and this is the truth. My mother saw it as a way to try and manipulate to get what she wanted, the person that she wanted me to be. That's not who I am. Now, this then started bringing this crap therapy and greyhound therapy and bullshit. It's like, there's no therapy. There's no greyhound therapy. You're making stories up. And you've made this really hard on me because no one believes me. So this is what's happened over the years, since 2009 practically. So I have a horrible family, and I do. Part of my dad's side, who got involved, never knew me before 2007. And that's the other issue as well. Giovanni Craig-Consalvo, or Jonathan Craig from Adelaide, we've projected his ridiculous upbringing. So this guy, Gio, he's a Latter-day Saints Mormon, suppressed weird way of viewing life. He's a family, even though Latter-day Saints Mormon, they're born again Christian and Jehovah's Witness. So this really weird way, I don't call him honest. He had lived a very suppressed, weird life, and his view on life is very warped from country town Adelaide. Well, it's Adelaide, that's where all the serial killers are. They've got issues, and he does. So he moved into my life and my lifestyle, and he scammed. He did do a scheme. He was telling people he was a carer. He was telling people all this rubbish that wasn't true. He was making up stories, all this stuff behind my back that I didn't know about. And I sort of got the gist of it first back in 2013. So from 2009 to 2013. Okay, so there's 4 years. And then in 2015, it was more apparent. And that's one of the reasons why I left him as well. Technically I left him in 2011, really, and then we were just going for the motions. I mean, he didn't accept it, but once it's over, it's over. Now, and that's the other issue. Auntie Linda and her children got involved. So did Auntie Sharon, and their children got involved. So Dad's two sisters, who were never in my life growing up, who I barely knew, their children who I barely knew, and only started keeping in touch with. Okay, started keeping in touch with them after Nan passed away in October 2007, but only really started keeping in touch with them after December 2008. So after I had met Giovanni, Gio. Okay, that's where these issues are as well. Plus, my mum's side, my mother. Oh, she wanted to manipulate mental health to get the person she wanted me to be. She wanted me to be an outdoorsy person, involved in everything she loves, which I don't. I can't stand the outdoors. I'm a city guy. Give me an apartment with concrete, left, right, centre. Give me middle of New York City, as long as it's a good inside environment, so I can, live. I mean, that's the thing. You got to live with your inside environment because you got no outside environment. I can't stand the outdoors. My mother wants me to be someone that goes camping. Like, seriously, she tried. Once Mum moved from Sydney in April 1989, the people that my mother moved around and lived, she wanted me to be like those people. But those people that she moved around, their families are all born and raised in that area for generation after generation. So it's inbred with them, this whole sort of way of life where she lives Mum moved to Tamworth in the country in 1989. She would rather destroy her son's life to try and, which, look at me now, I'm fat, not looking like me, I'm unhealthy, unhappy, all because of someone making up stories that I was depressed and suicidal, which I wasn't in the last 9 years, so they could then activate mental health and manipulate organisations to turn me into the person they wanted me to be. And that's what it is. It's sick. It's against human rights. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. This has now gone on for 9 years. And the same people who have caused the trouble don't want to pay for the damage. It's like, but you caused the damage to my life. I mean, my life has had 9 years taken from me. You interfered in it. You lied. And you did. My family, you lied. And that's what you did. And it's cost me everything in damages. And you're sitting back without having any repercussions from the damages that you've caused. You lied. You blatantly fucking lied. You're an arsehole of a family, both sides, to do that. And that's what they did. So I've never been even with what the shit was coming out of my twin sister's mouth. So they tried to make up stories that was trauma to do with Tamworth. And I'm like, okay. Oh, and it's trauma to do with my mother. It's like, why would there be trauma to do with my mother? Is this another bullshit story that Giovanni spread like he tried on that fucking weird cruise ship back in 2015? Because I can't stand this Karen Hurley weirdo that Giovanni was sucking up her ass to getting close with her son-in-law. Well, I'm like, I don't care. Her son-in-law's not like great. No offense to her son-in-law, but her son-in-law's friends with cousins on my dad's side. Their children go to the same school together. I'm not going to go and suck up someone's ass to be friends with them. And that's what he was doing. And this lady is some fucking weirdo, works in mental health crap, and Giovanni was manipulating that to his own advantage. And how this happened was, on the last minute, and I was busy, Giovanni said, oh, you have to go on this cruise with Karen, otherwise she can't go. And her family said they need someone to watch her. I'm like, what, so I've got a babysitter? I'm like, fucking hell. So that's what it was. And I can't stand it. Giovanni knows I hate it with a passion. And Giovanni's always making up stories going, oh, you don't like it because of your issues with your mother. I'm like, I don't have issues with my mother. You have issues with the fact that I'm not close to my mother. There's a difference. So here's the thing. Giovanni was always like, oh, this is because of your issues with your mother. I'm like, what issues with my mother? I'm not close to my mother. I'm close to my grandmother. You're making up stories. You can't project your life onto somebody else's, and that's what's going on here. So this is when I turned around to my mother and said, can you fucking tell the truth? Because now you're manipulating it, it's going to look worse for you. Because number one, they're trying to make up stories. I've got trauma to Tamworth, that's why I don't go there. Yet the truth is, I'm not from Tamworth, neither is anyone in my family. You moved there, Carol, with your second husband's family. That was your choice to leave Sydney. I thought you were insane to leave Sydney, to be honest. You had a great life in Sydney. I wasn't going to entertain your insanity of moving to Tamworth, and I moved back home to Sydney. I was barely in Tamworth for 6 years. There's no trauma to it. It's an environment that I don't like. And why would I like it? Why should I like it? Because somebody else likes it? I'm sorry, but there's a lot of people in the world that hate New York City and think it's horrible. But I love New York City. I find it relaxing and comfortable. There's a lot of people in the world that love going to Bali and these weird island like Thailand holidays. And I look at that and think, I can't think of anything worse to go to. That's me. So, just because you like it, the world doesn't have to like what you like. That's so communist of you. So there is no trauma to there. And then there's crap, oh, but his relationship with his mother. I was like, I never had a relationship with my mother. I had a relationship with my grandmother. My grandmother's my mother. Like, stop lying. So this is where it's all been caused in the last 9 years, and I'm not going to pay the damage. I'm sorry. You turn around to these people that cause and cost the damage, and they go, "Oh, that's because you're someone that you're only happy if you've got money." It's like, that's my money, that's my assets, that's my belongings. That's what I worked hard for. Why don't I do it to you? Why don't I cause trouble in your life, like John Cerruti, which is my cousin's husband, and take away everything you've worked hard for, and then turn around and say, "Oh, well, you have to learn to live without money." Because this is, it's like, no, I'm sorry. You really, not sorry. That's just a horrible terminology of how we always go, "Oh, we're sorry." No, not fucking sorry. You do not have a right to project your way of life, thinking and living onto somebody else like me. My life was perfect until you started trouble in my life in 2015 onwards, because I was lied about in 2015. There was nothing wrong. I was on the road to negotiating my job back. I had that chronic fatigue after having meningitis in 2016. Backs. Dog's coughing. Even my voice has changed. There we go. They're trying to turn me into a bogan Aussie, because that's what these people like, which I've never been a bogan Aussie in my life. I've been a snob my entire life. So there. Like, this is... they try to put me into greyhound therapy bullshit to turn me into somebody that I've never been in my entire life. That's against all human rights and civil rights. But it's very sick. It shows what control freak, narcissists, toxic people I have in my family. Isn't that disgusting? Because they want me to be somebody I'm not, right? And then it's like, "Oh, you hang on to the past because you're always with family history and this." It's like, because it's my history. Sorry, but I care more about the people I've had in my past, in my family, than I do the ones that are alive now. Yeah, and I'm allowed to have all the stuff to do with my family history. Like, and if I want to work on artwork to do with, for an example, Nan's great auntie's house in Bellevue Hill. I told my Nana Lola years ago, I'm going to do some artworks around that house. I need the address so I can get some old photos of it before my Nan's cousin Gary Williams sold his grandmother's house. I've asked my mum's cousin Sharon Newcomb to get me the address so I can find the information, get the details. And they've turned this like, "Oh, you've got to let go and move on. That was years ago, Justin. We don't have family there anymore." It's like, so? They didn't ask me to have family there. The same when Nan sold the house in Leichhardt, 43 Piper Street, Leichhardt in 1999. So that's still Nan's house. I'm allowed to go there and go, "I used to love this house. Used to love drawing, in the park in front of it, drawing the viaducts." Why can't I? What's wrong with that? Because you want me to be somebody I'm not? Because you want to project your bullshit onto me? And then you want to cause and cost me damages over a huge amount of years, which is 9 years. That's a massive, huge amount of damage for 9 years. And then you want to turn around and say, "Oh, but we don't have to pay for this because, Justin, you're the one with the issues." It's like, no, sorry. You've interfered in my life. You're paying for it. I don't care. Who the fuck do you think you are? Like, my dad's side of doing it. The fucking hell. My dad, Mark Fleming, was right when he said, "I wish you wouldn't keep in touch with my sisters." Because Dad was always in our life, but he never had anything to do with his sisters. And now I can see what the reason was. All I can say is karma's a bitch. It's going to bite you in the ass.